Welcome back. John Van Limbeek joining us today from Abbott Wealth Management. Welcome back to the show, John.
Thank you.
How are you?
Doing well.
Good, good. Are you relieved that tax season is over and RSP contribution season kind of come to an end?
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, I guess.
Right.
It doesn't affect us too much that way.
But as a money man, you are always thinking about what's around the next corner, and that's the way you want people to think, running your family sort of like a business.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's the money side is one sliver of the pie. I mean, you got to talk about the taxes, you got to talk about your estate planning, you got to talk about your retirement planning, personal protection, right? What happens if something comes up and you don't get down to your retirement, like your ideal plan? So it's all part of that, you know, I guess the financial plan or looking after your family kind of thing, right? No different than a business.
Sure. And so that talks a lot about a will then, is what you're sort of
The
saying.
will is where I was thinking about talking about today,
Sure.
because that's most people have kind of thought about the money side and and the taxes are done and that's all done. And now, you know, it's not that what's next, it's just something to consider that you got to look at it every so often. And when rules change, you know, you need someone there to kind of prod you a little bit.
Very true. I have family members that have admitted to me they don't have a will. They have children. Those children are middle-aged children. When I say middle-aged, I mean halfway through growing up. My sister's one of them. Just called her out on the show. But she doesn't have a will, and I think that's extremely important for her to take a look at. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know when the inevitable comes, so the card is the card, what we get. So it's going to happen, it's just a matter of when, and you can either choose to do it your way in the will and get your professionals aligned, either your financial planner, your tax accountant, and your lawyer, or you can leave it for the government, and that's not necessarily... You
lose that way.
Well, you lose or, I mean, it just becomes, it's not, your wishes aren't fulfilled.
Sure.
Government, there's some certain rules there, and you know, I'm not a lawyer, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're the best people to talk to about that. But we're there to help with the clients, to work with them in that aspect.
Is there any truth to what I've heard in that is if you don't have a will set up, that more money ends up in the hands of the government that you would have otherwise given to somebody?
It could, I guess. Depends. Yeah. I mean, because if you do with proper planning, with us working with the accountants and the lawyers, then you can definitely choose maybe a charity versus versus taxes, or choose your I guess the charity is the key, but choose your siblings and stuff like that. And there's different ways to do it. So I guess the short answer is yes, there could be more taxes payable if you don't do it properly, for sure.
There's something called the Wills Act, and it gets changed. Is that right?
It was changed a couple of years
2014?
ago, yeah, and that came with a couple different rules or numerous rules. And again, I'm no expert on that by any means, but other than just to be aware that things that were in there before are now or there's new stuff in there. And one of them is just in regards to when you get remarried. If you don't change, it used to be, my understanding, it used to be that if you got remarried or divorced, that your will was void. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but that's my understanding of that. But now it's, if you don't change it after you're married, then your old will can still be valid.
Okay.
So you got married, you got a new spouse, something happens, and maybe everything goes to the old spouse. So you have to be aware of certain changes that way. And like I said, it's not something we have to do every year in May or June, but it just, when big things change, like your family changes, maybe a new child, maybe the children go away, maybe they reach the age of majority, 19, and they can fend for themselves, different things come up. And it's our job to kind of pay attention to those things and listen to what you want. Because if what you want is not necessarily what I know is in your will, then we have to get another professional involved to make sure it's what your wishes are.
Imagine the ugliness that would ensue if you got remarried and left all of your money to your old spouse. Who wants to do that, right? That's not a good thing. Question of the week, kind of leading through what we've been talking about, but let's put it on the screen anyway, if we could. Essentially, it says reviewing your will, when should it be done? I guess what I would want to add to that is how often should you review it?
Well, I think there's no specific timeline. It's just if there's a major life event change, I mean, a spouse dies, or you get remarried, or you have a child, yeah, fair point.
Major events.
Major events for sure, for sure. But But if like you said, if you change a job, probably not that important. It might be from another part of your financial plan, either your income goes up or down,
Sure.
but it might not necessarily be for a change of will. And that's just making sure your team of professionals are all on the same page is the key there. So
Absolutely.
if I know something happens to you, going, okay, well, this is important now, but we should also look at, maybe updating the will or something like that. You're going, okay, then we have to do that then for sure.
Excellent. All right, we're out of time. John, I really appreciate you being here today with the information. If you have any questions for John or for Abbott Wealth, information on the screen, phone number 372-3736. We're back with Mike the Party Hog in 2 minutes. Stay with us.